Today, I'd like to draw with you a king. For our king, we are going to use a square shape for his body. So in the center of your page, draw a nice, relaxed square. There's no need for a ruler. Above, I'm going to have his head, and I'm going to have his head to be overlapping his body slightly. A little taller there, it's a little nicer square. For his legs, I'm going to make them about the same size as I've made his head. So they'll go down to about here-ish. Alright. The next thing I'm going to draw is, well, before I begin, is I'm going to erase this line here. Alright. I also don't need that one either, so I'll get rid of that while I'm at it. His eyes are going to be about in the middle of the page, his face, and I'm just going to have two small little dots for his eyes. For his nose, I'm going to use a modified number 5 shape without the hat on it. It'll come down, a little curl at the bottom. There we go. I'm going to put a mustache on him, and that's going to be underneath his nose. And it's going to look a lot like a frown that's going underneath his nose. So start one side, up, and under. There we go. For the bottom part of his mustache, two little smile shapes to one side, and then to the other. For his eyebrows, just a little frown shape there on either side. Because he's older, we're going to draw another frown on top of that, and that will give him the look of some bushy eyebrows. It's a great way of making him look a little bit older. I'm also going to draw in his ears, and they're going to be at the same height as his nose, and just a simple C shape on one side and a backward C shape for the other. And the upper inside of each ear, an extra little frown for that curl of his ear. Now we're going to work on his legs. I'm going to draw two little tick marks for the inside of each leg. And another two on the outside for the length of his leg. I'm also going to have a little line here for the height of his boots. Alright. I like being able to organize my height before I do my width. For here, I'm going to come a little bit different. I'm going to go from narrow to slightly wide. But then when it comes time to the boot, I'll do reverse. From wide to slightly narrow. So that'll be his boot there. And a little dot on the inside here, and that's where I'm going to transition from his boot to his foot. Same on this side. I'm then going to draw a line right down the center here for his coat. Starting about midpoint at his ear, I'm going to come around the shoulder to the center and down. And this will be a fur trim or fur lining on his coat. So not unlike, say, a backwards question mark on one side and something similar over on the other. There we go. It's a little bit better like that. I didn't want these two to line up. If I do it, it'll look like they're connected, and they're not. The next thing I'm going to draw in is arms. And for that, I'm going to put the bottom of his sleeves first, and a little slight smile shape on one side, and something similar on the other. Attaching itself to the collar, a slight curved line down and attaching on both sides. Also going to add a little bit of fur trim on the inside here. A lot of people will find hands intimidating, and don't. Don't think of them as hands, just think of them as mittens. Mittens aren't so hard to draw, are they? There we go. Put two little lines to indicate his fingers. Now back to his face. What I'm going to do is starting up around his eye level and down and up to this side. And this is going to be the top half of his beard, because we are going to put a beard, good bearded king. There we go. At the top here, right above his eyebrows, I'm going to draw another line for the top of his crown. For his crown itself, I'm going to divide this area into 3 equal spots. In the center of each one, I'll have another dot. And then I'm going to connect the dots. 2, 3. There we go. Alright, there we go. Looks good. Extra decoration in there doesn't hurt. There we go. I want that a little bit more in the middle. And there we go. One last little bit of decoration is I'm going to give his beard a bit of texture. And I'm going to do that with a bit of a curved zigzag line. I'm going to come up a little higher, down lower, and then back up high again. There we go. Doesn't have to be a big bushy beard. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to erase any lines I don't need. Say inside here, the corners of his beard, we don't need that anymore. Alright. I think that looks good to me. I can also add a bit of detail on his fur as well. And a few of these little line shapes to indicate the ermine fur that was often used on royalty. And once I've finished all of that, I'll take a moment with a nice dark pencil crayon or marker and outline my king. If you want to take a moment and make it a little bit rounder around the hem of his, or the cuff of his sleeve, go for it. This is a very important part. It finishes off our piece. We've worked hard on it. There's no point rushing through and leaving our work incomplete. Once I've done all the outside, I'll go back in with a slightly finer point to any interior details that I want highlighted or brought to life a little bit. Really take your time with this. This isn't the time to rush through this. If you're feeling impatient, take a little break and come back when you've got the energy and focus to do that. You'd hate to spend all this time creating a nice drawing and then rush through it at the very last minute. For his sleeves, I didn't go all the way. I wanted to give a sense that the sleeve was part of the coat. Alright, just about done now. A couple last things. We can shade, of course, in underneath if you'd like, some sort of sensible ground, or if he's hanging out someplace. And of course, right between the two. If you'd like, you can also do a little shading on his legs underneath the coat. Make it seem like the coat sticks out a little bit. Maybe even a little bit on that white fur. Whatever you think might add to your drawing. All that's left now is to color it in. Don't forget to sign your work. Good luck. Of course, keep practicing.